If there's one tax responsible for altering the architectural landscape of England, it'd be this. We all know that daylight is scarce here in the UK, and so it's difficult to understand why anybody would do this on their own volition, until you realise it's about tax avoidance. The year is 1696, and King William III is broke. So he decided it's time for a new type of property tax. Every house was taxed at a flat rate of 2 shillings, and if your house had between 10 and 20 windows, you'd be charged another 4 shillings. What on earth is 6 shillings worth today? Clearly, the National Archives knew this would be a popular question. This old currency converter tells us how many animals, stones of wool, and quarters of wheat I can buy. The year of currency would be 1690, and let's put in 6 shillings. Show me my purchasing power in 1690. 0 horses, 0 cows, not even a bit of wool, but it's worth 3 days of your wage to pay for having windows. Naturally, many Georgian houses today have 9 rather than 10 windows. I would have done the same thing. Major problem with this tax is its definition. It was never fully defined what constituted as a window. People were paying taxes for holes in the walls, trapdoors, basically anything that allowed light in. But was this tax fair? Sure. In theory, the rural poor were more likely to live in houses with fewer windows. However, the urban poor were less likely to live in individual houses. They lived in flats in tenement buildings, and here comes the second major problem with this tax. Even if the flats were rented separately, the taxman charged the residents collectively. For example, this building contains 2 flats rented separately by different households. Each flat has 6 windows. The taxman sees 12 windows on the outside, so the whole building was taxed for 12 windows. So, they went from not having to pay to needing to cough up extra for their building. Bloody greedy bastard. This made the window tax particularly difficult on the less wealthy in the cities. And what do you do when you can't pay taxes? You board up your only sources of light and air. Sadly, this led to a lot of health and safety issues for the people living there, and people speculate that this is where the expression daylight robbery originates, which could also be said about how much I just paid for this coffee. Even though the tax was abolished in 1851, a lot of people decided to leave their windows as is rather than reinstate them. So blind windows have become this sort of significant feature of buildings that are built at this time period. You'd think that'd be the end of it. No more blind windows, no more bricked up windows. Nope. Some newly built homes are being constructed with these windows already bricked up, and people are asking if this is an attempt to appear more historical or authentic, which by the way may fetch a higher price. Others have claimed this might be due to planning restrictions. For example, if the window overlooks neighbours, it would be an infringement of privacy, so rather than change the architect's original plans, builders would just brick up the windows. Some developers have even said that this is a benefit as it allows for easy conversions for homes. If you wanted to install a window frame in there now, when it has already been bricked up, it makes it far easier to take out the brick and install what you want or need to. In all honesty, a more probable reason is that blind windows are done intentionally to fit the look of the neighbourhood, like many other Georgian homes with similar facades. So what is Georgian facade? Georgian homes are all about simplicity and balance, with a big emphasis on symmetry, particularly in reference to the windows and doors. The lower floors usually have taller and grander, more elegant windows compared to the top floor, because traditionally the top floor was used as servants' quarters, while the lower stories were reserved for the family. Another way to identify Georgian properties is by its roof. After the Great Fire of London, a Building Act was surpassed in 1707, which mandated the inclusion of parapet walls. So one of the ways that fire spread through the Great Fire of London was through the roofs. So you didn't have any kind of brick partition in between the roofs, and the fire would spread from one building to the other. So you build up these parapet walls on the party wall, which are really high and they're made of brick, and then the roofs are set back like so. And so it stops the fire then being able to spread between different buildings. This led to the very unique butterfly roof, which is a very shallow pitched roof that dips into the center. Roofs were therefore hard to spot from the ground up, a stark difference from the elaborate roofs of the eras before and after the Georgian period. You can tell a lot about the societal ethos of any part of history by looking at the homes around us, which leads us to a very important question. Ultimately, what legacy will the buildings around us of our time embody? And will there be somebody filming a weird, strange man outside my apartment?